It's time to kick off the year for the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, and at the world's first motorsports stadium, that is Daytona Rising. This series is known for superb action, and today they'll be battling not only on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway, but also the intense infield road course, all looking to be 2016's first winner. Two classes featuring some of the world's top brands, and on one of the world's most famous tracks, it's time to get it started from the world center of racing. After a couple of wet, gloomy days, it has morphed into the weather, the postcard weather, for which Daytona Beach is famous. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway and the BMW Performance 200. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you this full season to help bring you our coverage of this great championship. It's also a great pleasure to know I'll be joined all year by Calvin Fish. And Cal, there's always immense anticipation leading into the start of any season, but I think this year it's maybe being fed a little bit more than usual by change in both classes, but especially Grand Sport.
Well, the big news in the offseason with the defending series champions from Stevenson Motorsport, we're making that move to the new WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. That doesn't mean that life is going to be easy at the top by any means. A couple of our stalwart teams are back, led by the number 13, the Rumbum Racing Porsche. They always show speed every year. The defending race champions, Matt Plum, won the championship 2 years ago. And the number 15, the Multimatic Ford Shelby, a lot of speed last year, a couple of wins in their books already. Can the veteran Scotty Maxwell and one of the fastest drivers in this championship, Billy Johnson, finally get that championship for him? And of course, Compass 360, they'll be campaigning one of those cars as well. But I think the big question mark is a new entry in that class. The Porsche Cayman, the GT4 platform. How will it fare in its first race?
Absolutely, and to answer that question, let's get right down to Jamie Howe in pit lane.
Well, Greg, that new Porsche, the Cayman GT4 Club Sport, it's the first time that Porsche as a manufacturer is both producing and supporting a Cayman in North American racing. We're expecting as many as 4 of them in the field by the time we get to Sebring. 2 entered today. The highest qualified is second. It's the number 33 from CJ Wilson Racing. It's going to be exciting to watch that develop over the season with competition from Ford and Aston Martin. But starting on pole for today's race is that tried and true number 13 from Rumbum Racing with brothers Hugh and Matt Plum. For more on ST, here's Justin Bell.
Well, fans of the series know that in ST Street Tuner division, it went down to the wire in Atlanta last year, and it looks like it's going to start the same way here, but a few changes. Chad McCumbee and Stephen McAleer, they actually won the championship but have changed team. They're now again in a Mazda, but with Freedom Motorsport. But the weather, tricky in qualifying, and at the front we see Robin Liddell and Elliott Skier on pole in their new Rebel Rock Porsche Cayman. It's going to be nail-biting from this race to the end, and every point will count, guys.
I don't think there's any question about that. And Cal, when your slogan is the world center of racing, most everybody knows where you are, but let's take a look at this trap with our Google Earth track map.
Well, it's located about an hour's drive north from Disney World, just off of Florida's east coast. It's a fun ride around this 3.56 mile track layout with 2.5 miles on the famous high banks, just over a mile on the intense infield section. Down into turn 1, that transition area, very tricky indeed. You got to get a good climb out of turn 6, and then a good run through the bus stop chicane turn 7. That'll set up a fast lap here.
And they are quick around this place, no question. Let's take a look at our Continental Tire starting grid at the top of your screen. And we are ready to go racing and leading them to the flag after a great run in qualifying using the experience and setup knowledge of that somewhat older Porsche is the car from Rumbum Racing, and that is Hugh Plum, who really did a brilliant job in qualifying.
He really did. It was tricky conditions, but again, the veteran did an awesome job. But look at this. We talked about it in the opening. Multimatic versus Rumbum. Problems early for the body motion number 31 Porsche.
Yeah, absolutely no go right now, but let's go back and see the start for the ST category. And again, the story there, Robin Liddell and Elliott Skier moving into that car that qualified on pole for Rebel Rock, and Elliott Skier doing a superb job in qualifying, jumping into the lead, but a big move there from the Honda America race team entry, coming from 4th.
That's Gilsinger, the gunslinger, as we like to call him. He was the lead early. This team did not test at the Raw 3 weeks ago. There you see the sister car getting a little bit sideways. Cold tires, remember. Continental tires on all of these cars. It's going to take a couple of laps to get them fully heated up, fully pressured up, and give you the grip the drivers are looking for. Everyone pushing the limit right now.
Boy, and a great start there by the best of the mini JCW entries. And it's qualified in the 2nd spot in the back, slid back, but has now moved back into 4th. We get a report the 75 Compass 360, that is the Audi S3, had a problem at the start as well. Apparent loss of power there.
Things just settling in here. Going at the back, the bus stop chicane. You can see that on the left side of the screen. We've got the Rum Bum Porsche leading from the pole. We have a full course caution here in the early going for one of those stranded machines. But Scott Maxwell already putting the pressure on there. So you could see the stranded car off to the left.
I think that was that 31 body motion entry that you had talked about. Again, started by Jason Rabe and having a problem. And again, the number 75 we talked about struggling there as well. That's Kyle Gimple. He'll be taking over from Roy Block. Roy, this is his debut run here and did a nice job in qualifying. And of course, Gimple was one of the two guys who won at the season finale at Petit last year. But boy, that's comprehensive, Cal. See if we can pick up the radio call.
It's on the pace lap. This is the car that won the final round of the
engine. Got a ton of smoke in the cockpit.
Kyle Gimple won the final round of the championship with his car at Road Atlanta back in October. So from the top of the tree to the bottom, that's what racing is all about some days.
It is the old pendulum swing, isn't it? No question. And as Jason Rabe sits stationary as well, we're going to step away for just a moment. Very early in the going in this 2.5-hour race, the opening round of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. Absolutely beautiful imagery here as the car is up on the high banks at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. As we're in this caution, we're going to take a moment and show you the 4 onboard looks we are going to have. One is going to be from our BMW pace car. You see that on the top left. Off to the right at number 15, Ford Shelby from Ultimatic. Then at the bottom, 2 of the Freedom Mazda MX-5, the 25 and the 26. Expect them to be in the hunt for sure. Now let's take a look at the current weather conditions. As I said, it was pretty gloomy previous couple of days. Absolutely right in the middle of the 60s, low humidity, low wind. It's absolutely perfect. And that plays off into a big difference between the times we saw in qualifying and in practice today.
It was torrential rain here for a couple of days, and the good news is beautiful conditions right now. The bad news for the teams, other than a very short practice session this morning, they don't have a lot of dry runnings. They wouldn't have got any long runs on the tires, see what the tire degradation could be, if they may need to make any fine chassis adjustments to try and get that underneath them. So tough conditions for these guys. They're really feeling things out right now.
And guys, when you talk about those tires and the track temperature, I just talked to Continental Tire and they told me the track temperature at the start of this race was 87 degrees. When we started practice this morning, even though it was dry, track temp was only 67 degrees. So quite a big swing for these teams.
I'd say a huge amount. The other story is the car that set that fast time in practice this morning was one Billy Johnson from Multimatic. Pace car is off. We are going back to green flag. And you can see there's that light flashing out to the side. And we get the green. We are underway. And interestingly, that Rum Bum car that had qualified so well in the wet, only 4th quick this morning. And they're going to have some company immediately. And I have a gut feeling about that 4th car there in the hands of Paul Holton and later Pierre Kleinubik.
Yeah, Paul's such a great talent, just 19 years old. He won that final ST race of last year's championship before moving now onto the GS class with the same team, Compass 360. They're really giving him a perfect training ground within their team to make the march up the motor racing world. And he's really done a great job. And his teammate, Pierre Kleinubik, he knows how to win championships, a lot of experience there, and he'll be a great mentor for Paul this season.
Absolutely, and that 3rd car in your frame, that is the number 33 CJ Wilson Racing Porsche Cayman GT4 we were talking about. And Daniel Burkett making the move up into this category. And at the Roar in particular, he was often the fastest guy in all of the test sessions. This is a for-real program.
It really is. Mark Miller's going to be a great teammate to him as well. It's a great team. And again, really showing what that Porsche Cayman can do. It's got the PDK transmission. It's really quick under acceleration because you really don't lose a lot of time with the upshift. So they're really getting great performance out of this car. It's early days, though. We talk about the track conditions, Greg. Jamie mentioned it's different even from this morning. So, you know, it's going to be tough for these guys who don't have the notebook to work on that they had here last year and years past.
Now, when you say PDK transmission, what's the nuance of that?
Well, it's basically almost like an automatic transmission. So it's really fast in its shifting. It doesn't really kill the motor too much in terms of losing power as you're accelerating through the range. And that's a big advantage compared to like the 997 that's running up front right now with the Rum Bum team.
Boy, Holton taking a look at the outside on Burkett there, heading into the chicane. Burkett doing a nice job protecting, but that Mustang, that Shelby machine definitely has some legs, and amazing graphic package on the car. It's all part of the Children Tumor Foundation and the award-winning artist that suffers from one of the diseases that the Children's Tumor Foundation supports so strongly, and it is eye-catching, especially in person, and makes that pass right around and picks up that third spot. And you know, Cal, you were talking about the track conditions, but I think another part of the story, especially down in the infield, is if you get off track with the amount of rain that we've had, that grass is absolutely soaked, and you don't stop.
No, you don't. You're going to be for a ride, and it's really just the luck of the gods if you don't end up making contact with the tire walls and barriers around this racetrack. Here we see Scotty Maxwell really rolling a lot of speed through that hairpin turn there. And the nice thing about this Mustang, last year, the Ford Shelby that is, that we're on board with right now, the number 15 car, it showed a little bit of tire degradation. It would use the tires up a little bit during the course of a long run, but Daytona is not hard on tires. So talking to the teams this weekend, they felt that could play to their favor here in this opening round of the championship.
Well, we're getting reports too that the number 75, that's the team Compass 360 Audi, and the 73, excuse me, and the 25 Freedom Auto Sport car. Watch this, Cal.
Through the bus stop there, and the Mini just gets out of the gas, and the 25 car was hard on it there. We call it the Mac attack. And the reason the Mini was out, he was seeing the caution, and I think McCumbee there was not aware of it.
That was a pretty substantial hit too. A lot of damage to that right front, and we saw I think the Mini is not in exactly great shape. Help at this point, Jamie?
Well, good news is that there is a lot of heavy body damage for this number 25, but they were just trying to send McCumbee out. The crew member gave the thumbs up. He checked the suspension. Everything looked to be intact, so they are going to exit pit lane now.
Key is here. They want to stay on the lead lap, so they may just let him go, bring him back in when the pits are opened, and do a bit more assessment if there is further damage and further repair needed.
Yeah, and the timing was important. He was in the pits before the yellow was called, so no penalties will be issued there. Another caution early in this one. We're going to step away again, but we will be right back with you for more from Daytona. We continue under caution here at Daytona International Speedway for the opening round of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, the BMW Performance 200. But we are anticipating going back to green fairly soon. But Cal, we want to go back and take another look at that incident between the Mazda and the Mini JCW.
Yeah, through the bus stop chicane. I thought everyone had stacked up a little bit. It's just the number 73 at Derek Jones didn't get the exit speed. And it was Stephen Mackley. We heard some radio communication. The Scottish brogue from that young man that was a little bit frustrated. Here we see the damage to the car.
Stop. Stand under the wheel.
Trying to get the toe in. It bent a toe link here.
Go in.
And that'll just cost him a lot of speed. And then a little bit later we see the Mini, a little bit of work being done here. Took a big hit in the rear corner.
And when they just sort of took the mallet to and bent the bodywork away, I think everything else was pretty solid for that Mini. It's JCW's John Cooper Works, and so they're out and running solidly. Obviously, this team, it didn't spend much time in the pits. They got to top off with fuel. We also saw 3 Mustangs, one of them the Compass 360 car, and both Racer's Edge Mustangs come in. A little strategy play in the early going.
Well, I think so. In a GS car, you're going to see a fuel window of about 55 to 60 minutes. And with the 2-hour, 30-minute race, they came in, topped him up. That means if they get another yellow, they could potentially do it on just one more stop to get to the finish. So strategy calls can really get you to victory lane in this championship.
And they got the wave around as well, so they didn't lose that much track position as we are about to go back to green. That puts Rob Eklund, by the way, in the number 99 Aston Martin up into the 4th spot as the green flag flies. And they are starting a little bit close together here in the 2 classes, which is just fine by us. And right away, you see Scott Maxwell. Take a look. He's not going to do anything rash here. However, back in the field they are.
There was some retaliation there by that Mini on the inside, unless he just didn't see him to his flank. But that was an aggressive move.
Yeah.
Contact there, and I think he may have cut a tire because he's now slow going to the side of the track.
Yeah, either cut it. Yep, it is definitely down. Boy, that's a shame. That's the car that qualified second. That was Mark Pombo, who's behind the wheel of that car. And I think he got into the Murillo Racing Porsche Cayman of Jeff Mosing.
Yeah,
a couple of real front runners.
I mean, they all kind of got funneled down there along the tri-oval, and I'm not sure if he knew he was there and he was trying to make a statement or whether he was just unaware that car was to his outside.
Let's even take another quick look at it here on the restart.
Jockeying for position here. See the 37, the Mini in the middle of the pack. Watch there, he gets squeezed a little bit, and I think he tries to make a move, and I'm not sure if he just was then controlling the car with that second tap, but whether he was just frustrated feeling that he got hit in the first place.
I think the guy taking advantage of all of that was James Clay in the number 84 Bimmerworld BMW. Just swept around the outside of that whole group. So go back to the front of the field in Grand Sport, and again, Scott Maxwell gets a great drive out of Speedway 2 down the back straight. Justin?
Well, yeah, the whole thing with the Mustangs is they're very thirsty. There's a lot of wide open throttle here on the high banks of Daytona. So at this going into the season right now, the teams that aren't that familiar with them are definitely like the 76. You know, they need to get this first stint in. They've got to err on the side of caution. Just talking with the team manager. So, you know, there's this first stint of the year, Calvin, the way it unfolds is so many unknowns, right? The first pit stop hasn't even occurred yet for most of these guys. So when it comes to the Mini, they are on deck right now. That car will be coming back in. I'll give you a report when I see it.
Well, you're spot on, Justin. Without a lot of dry running, as well as hard to get those fuel mileage numbers here this weekend. But for the Compass 360 team, I think that's why they pitted the 76 car, Justin, and brought him in, topped him up, because they are a little bit concerned about how thirsty that car may be.
Boy, some good early action here. Again, we're watching that number 84, James Clay. That is got him now up into second.
That's for the lead. He's pushing Elliott Skier here side by side through turn 1 and 2. Who will get it? Looks like James Clay may be taking the lead for the first time on this championship season.
Well, they've paid their dues, haven't they? Developing that F30 turbo, that 4-cylinder that they said every race it's getting better and better and better. And this cool weather and that turbo, that car obviously is looking really good. And Elliott Skier, if you're not familiar with him, folks, all this guy did was, I think, put up some amazing numbers last year. Just a handful of wins, 10 pole positions in the GT3 Cup. It's one of the reasons he's driving that Cayman.
Yeah, he was the champion, of course. He won a handful of races in the MX-5 Cup Series as well the year before. So a real amazing talent. Pat Long, the Porsche factory driver, gives him a little bit of an assist in terms of choosing the right path for his career. But a really impressive young man, very impressive driver behind the wheel as well. He's got it all. He ticks all the boxes.
And the good news is, you look at that car, the orange came in behind him, Jeff Mosing in that Murillo Racing car. That bit of contact really didn't seem to do any damage. He's right back up and into fourth as we go back to this. And right now, Scott Maxwell is just hounding it, it looks like, but he's not really taking any lunges. And Justin was talking about, do they have to conserve just a little bit? He's just riding behind.
When you're sitting in the draft, you can maybe save a little bit of fuel that way. He looks like he wants to go to the front, quite honest with you, as we see the ST battle as that continues now through the bus stop chicane. But he's taking a look to the inside, but certainly Hugh Plum is sort of like putting the car in that track position where he's not blocking, but certainly going to make it a very tight entry into the chicane for Scotty Maxwell to try and take the lead of this motor race. So you got two veterans there, and Danny Burkett is just sitting there in that number 33 in the Porsche Cayman, eyeballing these two veterans going out at the front of the field.
Well, you got to love what you're seeing here as we take a look. Both classes, the lead well under contest as through the twisty bits right now. Maxwell really putting the pressure on Hugh Plum, and Jeff Mosing in the right of your screen in ST. That is third. He might get second by the time he gets this one done, unless he gets trapped here, and he's just going to try and say park around the outside.
Nice job.
Nice.
Yeah, he just kept trying to release the brake and just find that spot so he could get into line once again. And Elliott Skier's doing a nice patient job here. He's not forcing the issue. He realizes he's got a great car, great teammate. We talked about Stevenson not returning, of course, as Justin mentioned. We've got Rob Nadell going to be teaming with Elliott Skier here for a few rounds in the championship this year. So that's a potent combination. But certainly at the front, it is interesting that you saw the draft effect there, Greg. 4 cars together around this trioval that punches a big hole in the air, and Jeff Mosing was able to take advantage of that.
Well, that's a very slippery car too, so you get that hole. Obviously, it's going to pick up a lot of speed. Ooh, bit of a moment there.
You could see it there with that bright orange Cayman. He had to catch it there, so he released the brakes down into the brake zone.
Well, it's fun. All last year, Mosing and Skier, albeit in 2 different classes, were on track at the same time in that GT3 Cup, and both put on some amazingly intense races and a good run there. Gilsinger getting a good launch now up onto the banking once again. See if he's able to do anything with that, but up front, Well, James Clay just easing away a little bit here, Cal.
And Chad's got his teammate, Michael Valiente, who started in the Tudor Championship last year, almost winning the championship, just coming up showing the final round. He's back with the Hart team, going to be running the full season this year. And they had a lot of success a couple of years ago with this Civic. So look at this battle here.
Yes.
Cover them with a blanket.
What a move by Mosing. Outside move into the bus stop. And he carried a ton of speed mid-corner, Cal, and comes back up onto the banking. Good little margin in hand here, but we've seen this draft has just drawn everybody right back together again. But this group of four now has broken clear just a little bit of the team number 81 BMW of Jerry Kaufman.
Yeah, Kaufman's doing a great job there, running in the top 5. So 2 Bimmer World cars in the top 5. Mosing wanted the lead. The car looked a little bit loose to me on a couple of the infield corners, so we'll have to watch this next go-round. 2 very different personalities as we see Skier go low. He's underneath the line there as he tries to make the move for second spot on James Clay. Very tight, releases the brakes, tucks it to the inside. Porsche's run 1-2.
Oh, and Mosing was absolutely playing pitch and catch right to the apex down there. They are on the absolute limit. As we talked about, they got very little dry running here. So set up pressures, the whole thing. Oh, and a big evasive move by Gilsinger as the 3 in front stacked up. That was heads-up driving.
Yeah, it was, and I'm not sure if Elliott Skier gave just Mosing a little love tap there in at the brake zone, but it was certainly very close as Gilsinger now tries to go around the outside into the kink. That's probably not going to work.
Well, we've seen issues with that here at Daytona in the past, haven't we?
Yeah, large attachments are needed for that move, I tell you.
Well, both guys obviously giving each other a little bit of respect out there, which is what you want to see, and they're still side by side.
But look at the pack. Yeah. The pack is developing as we speak, right before our eyes. A lot more people getting into this lead battle.
Well, when you're running side by side like that, neither of you are going as quick as you can, and you see the margin the lead 2 have made, and that pack behind them, as you point out, reeling them right back in again. And Juan Carlos Leroux, that car, that red and white Honda, started dead last after an engine change, and they have just augured their way up. Now that's 6th in class, Cal.
Yeah, that's a great little combination there. They always give it 1,000,000% as we now see Gilsinger. He's got to the inside of James Clay. Can he hang in there into the brake zone? That Bimmer World is really strong, this area of the racetrack. Gilsinger looks for it. James Clay takes it away as we see the battle up front. Oh, there's contact!
Yeah, Leroux and Kaufman. Kaufman getting the worst of it, getting into the tire barriers. And just that point of contact at that part of turning into the bus stop.
Yeah, forget the wet grass. You're going to get into the tire barriers there really fast.
Oh, boy. He is unbelievable. By the way, folks, you were talking at the top of the show about the highs and lows of racing. Jerry Kaufman on the starting grid proposed. She said yes, that's the high. And there he's got the low here. It's a tough break for him, obviously. But big picture, it's been a good day.
Yes, it's still a good day. Let's take another look at it here. We were looking at Gilsinger and Clay, but look right behind them there. Leroux and Kaufman, just not enough room as they try to go side by side there through turn 7 on the entry. Another look at it. Great save there. Wow, look at that.
A nice piece of driving by Leroux. He got here's the proposal we were just talking about, and it was in the affirmative. So he'll be playing this piece of video back for a long, long time at Thanksgiving and every family holiday you can imagine. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Daytona International Speedway, and we've got a new feature for you this year. It's called the Continental Tire for What You Do, and what it is, it's a recognition of what drivers or anybody really does that away from the track, oftentimes in service to the community, in this case, in service to a wonderful charity. Camp Boggy Creek, located not too far away from here. Huge turnout of drivers, Cal, went down there to partake, be a part of this program, help the charity that it functions, and also take part in some paddle boat racing.
I've been down there a couple of times, Greg. It's a very special place, and what these people there do in terms of helping these young children is simply amazing, and the whole racing community. When we come down to Daytona, they always want to go and try and make it part of their program for the week. There you saw Matt Plum, brother of Hughes, leading the race. He's a little bit better at driving than he is at this, fortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see Eric Curran there, very talented driver, not much for jazzercise. but all for a good cause, and that's what's important, and of course a great evening as well. So back to the racing unfolding here, and not a lot has changed in terms of position per se, but as a matter of fact now it looks like we may have just had a pass as we were coming back, and he's been hunting for a while, Cal.
He has, and he tries to make this long move around the outside. You've got to have some grip in that race car. You've got a lot of ever-driving talent as well behind the wheel, and he has both right now. Great move by Danny Burkett to take the lead of this race.
You know, he's driven Atlantics, he's driven prototype challenge cars, not much in terms of sports cars, in terms of tin tops. You wouldn't know it.
He's making a statement here today,
Wow.
That is for sure. What a great performance by the CJ Wilson team.
Absolutely. Here's this battle, three-way battle right now for the lead in ST. It's still Mosing leading with Elliott Skier in the blue Porsche right behind him at this point. And then you see
Clay to the inside.
Yeah.
That BMW is strong on the brakes. He made that look really easy. I think Elliott Skier's doing a great job. He's certainly shown speed in this race, but also he's shown a lot of patience and maturity. And that's what you're looking for a young man. You see a lot of these young kids come through. They can run a fast lap. They can, you know, put in impressive performances. But that kid has been winning championships already and showing the patience and poise right now in the early going of this championship year.
And you talk about the coaching he gets. By the way, this is the 57. That's one of the Racer's Edge Motorsports car. Valera Imageri already had a stop. They did one as a strategy call early. However, a problem, Justin.
Yeah, the car came in, obviously, you can see the rear. If you come around this side of the car, we can see the tire. They had a flat tire, deflated. I'm not sure where it went out on the banking, but this team, you know, Michael Leary is a local guy here. The Mustang should be so strong out there, and it's frustrating for the team to have him in the pits. I don't know why it is not starting. I'll get back to you. But I tell you what, I spoke to Robin Liddell just before the start as they pulled out, and he was saying about Elliott, he went, you know what, the kid is he's really good. He said, and he almost sounded like, you know, Calvin, when as one of the more mature guys, you're begrudgingly have begrudging admiration for someone way too young and way too fast. Well, that's what Robin sounded like. He was really bloody quick, you know. Yeah. And
he's going to keep him on his toes, I think. This year.
Keep him on. Yeah, he said, you know what, he deserves to start, doesn't he? He got it on pole in horrible conditions. So I think they're going to be a formidable pairing all year.
Yeah, they're going to be really tough, and that's the cool thing. I mean, you think, oh, I'm going to have this young kid driving with me. Robin may or may not have known much about him, and suddenly you get out there with them like, boy, I better sharpen my act up here a little bit if I'm going to show him anything, because this kid is really on it.
Well, I mean, what he did as you're watching this great battle for the lead in ST, and James Clay, as you talked about, Cal, the longer this goes, the stronger that BMW seems to get. But in the GT3 Cup Series last year, he stepped up from Mazda MX-5s into that GT3 level Porsche, never missed a beat, and was taking it to guys that have been in that series for a couple of years. He quickly adapted, there's no question about that.
He really did, and that's what you want to see from a young talent, is how can he adapt to new cars, new competition, new levels of competition, new bars in performance in terms of having a teammate like Robin Liddell. He'll just go from strength to strength. But right now, Jeff Mosing, he's a veteran in this championship, pulling double duty this weekend. He'll also run in the WeatherTech Championship here for the 24-hour event this weekend with the Viper team led by Bill Riley. So he's having a lot of fun in the odd foray that he has in that championship as well.
Yeah, Mark Miller, a real good friend of his, obviously, and he put together the deal last year. I think it was a Mazda race with Laguna Seca,
right,
to get Mark in one of the Vipers there before they went to Le Mans, or Mark did, with the Keating-Blikamolin pairing. And it was just huge. I mean, Jeff is just a class act.
He's one of the nicest guys you meet in the paddock, and he's just gone from strength to strength. He's what we call a gentleman driver. He doesn't earn his living from driving race cars, but even so, he's got really, really quick over the last couple of seasons, and has won a lot of races.
You know, it doesn't matter where he finishes on the podium, first to third, when he walks up there, he gives a big yell, because he says, I'm driving race cars, and he just absolutely loves it, no question about it, and clearly driving them very, very well. And the work through traffic that Danny Burkett is doing, again, something else, multi-class racing, with those 2 exceptions in the Prototype Challenge last year, not a lot of experience with that, and he's just been superb in traffic. He's opened up a bit of a margin now, over a second right now.
Yeah, he has, and this is one of the question marks. How long is it going to run? What's the fuel mileage going to be like with this Cayman compared to with the venerable 997 that's sitting in the second spot there in the rum bump colors, the blue and yellow machine. There you see Scotty Maxwell sitting there, the second of the Mustangs. Paul Holton doing a great job. Remember, Holton's got a lot more fuel on board. They made that stop. As we see Clay go to the front, he ducks inside Mosing there through 1 and 2, and he's grabbed the lead in the ST class.
That's that brakes you were talking about. That car just seems to be absolutely stuck under braking right now. And Clay's got such a lot of experience.
He does, and you said he's really paid his dues with the development of this car, and it's great to see him attacking a new championship season with a tool underneath him that can win races, it looks like.
Looks like he opens up the margin just a little bit. The two Porsches now giving chase to the BMW up front, and here's a look at it.
Oh, Mosing gets sideways there. He'd been doing that a little bit. Not sure if it's a brake bias issue in terms of too much rear brake. It's almost like doing what we call an e-brake turn into the corners, but he's been a little bit loose on the entry to these turns throughout the course of the early running.
Maybe just a smidge too much right foot, but he's giving it a great go right now, and we're going to step away. We'll be back with a lot more from Daytona. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody, but if you're just joining us, we want to bring you up to speed, and it starts with the overall leader after a great drive by the newcomer Danny Burkett, bringing that beautiful car for C.J. Wilson down to the pit.
This could be an indicator. Maybe that Cayman is burning a bit more fuel than the rest of the competition in the GSF. He was indeed out of fuel. They're past the 45-minute mark, so it'll be good for points. May just be strategy.
Now, big sequence of moves coming here. Watch this now. As you see this pass made, now watch that lead car, Mosing. Another wiggle. He's been doing that all the time. But that kind of got Skier a little bit wide. And again, Clay right down underneath, but then the back end rotates. These guys are on it.
Yeah, that was the rodeo ride around the outside there. Great move there. And these boys are really pushing really hard. See Bleekemolen there in the 21 machine. He's trying to get his laps back here.
Yep, this is exactly what he's done. They've made the stop, and that's the Mueller Motorsports America car. And if he can get by this car, he will be back on the lead lap, and then he needs a caution, but he is flying right now. But one of the big stories we've been talking about, C.J. Wilson moving up from ST into Grand Sport and doing it with tremendous success. Justin?
Yeah, well, I think the big thing, CJ, is we're just talking about a big move. You're in the Porsche, but for you, you're a lifetime competitor, right, in your sport and probably everything you do. So it's nice to be racing, you just said to me.
Yeah, I mean, here at Daytona, we've had really good luck since the Roar being fast in the Porsche. The Porsche is super fast, but, you know, previously we'd come here and we'd be like, yay, we survived, you know, if we got like a top 15 or something. So we're looking for a podium today. Danny drove great out there, so we're all like talking to him over the radio, keeping him calm. He's cracking jokes, he's calm, he's having a good time.
Well, of course, you know what it's like in that car because you've done a few laps. But Danny, did you trust him to take care of it? This, you know, it's a big deal coming into this race, so you let the boss get in behind the wheel.
Yeah, you know, it's important to have CJ get behind it too, you know, get him some experience, coach him a little bit. Having him jump in at the Roar test was really great. So a question for you from a fuel consumption point of view. Calvin was speculating, obviously you did come in quite early. It was a calculated stop, obviously within the time window. Are you nervous on your fuel consumption? That's one of the questions Calvin's been asking. Well, you know, we really haven't had a chance to run this car dry yet, so it's been a complete, not guesswork, but just guesstimating as best we can. So we came in early to be safe, because if you run out of fuel, you're not obviously going to finish well.
But the car's good. The track, you just told me, was very slippery. The temperature's gone up. Jamie reported on that earlier. Obviously, you've had no dry running all week. The Roar was quite a few, or 2 weeks ago. So the track is quite slippery.
Yeah, it's very slippery. We were having a lot of issues with traction coming off the corners, particularly on the hairpin and going back onto the banking in corner 6. But I was able to deal with it. The Porsche is set up perfectly. It's a new team. It's a new series. It's a new sponsor we got in One Capital Management. We're here to make a splash, and we're making a big splash so far.
Let CJ get back up there. He's crossing his fingers, which I know he doesn't do when he pitches a baseball. Guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's totally in contention, and boy, are they making a splash, and I would say Danny Burkett is making a pretty impressive splash, too.
Yeah, there's been a lot of buzz about that young man making the move to this championship, and he certainly didn't disappoint in his first outing here, so very impressive, and great to see C.J. Wilson making the move to this GS Porsche Cayman. But this ST battle is just not going away. The BMW seems to have really good handling, really good brakes. Seems to not quite have the straightaway speed. Is punching probably a bigger silhouette through the air in terms of the body styling versus those Caymans. That may be what's coming into effect around the high banks here.
It looks like Elliott's just comfortable right now letting these two guys work each other, and he's watching them. They're obviously both a lot more sideways than Elliott has been, which means they're probably taking a little bit more toll on those tires, and Elliott's just riding.
Yeah, he is, and we've said it throughout the course of this race, just showing great poise, great patience, doesn't put the car in a position where it's going to get damaged or taken out, and he gets racy when there's time to get racy, and when everyone else is trying to make a point, he just says, go ahead, it's a long race, I just want to turn this car over to my teammate Rob Nadell in great shape and try and get a win here in the first round of the championship.
Just watching these ST cars up on that banking is awesome. Let's get down to Jamie.
We're seeing some pit stops start to happen now. The number 99 from Automatic Racing and Al Carter now behind the wheel. They're finishing up 4 new Continental tires. Different pit rules if you're familiar with the series this year. All of these cars now have air jacks on them, so there's one less crew member over the wall as they no longer need a jackman out there. It was a pretty clean stop, and Al Carter's out.
Well, Al Carter had himself a pretty good year last year, and he just seems anything he gets in, he seems to be able to adapt and drive. But I mean, he's the Tequila Patron North American Endurance Cup co-champ in
won
that
this event,
Viper.
won the big
Justin.
one.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it was a bit of a dodgy pit lane entrance for Maxwell as he came down. He dived into one pit stand, realizing that it wasn't his, and carried on. This pit lane is absolutely massive. Driver change, as you'd expect. Fuel going in right now. New Continentals, and that's going to be interesting as well. These Continentals, with the tire temperature going up, right, they're also having, based on team experience, the data they're getting, they're going to have to make sure pressures and things are right for the track conditions at this exact time. Very difficult at this stage of the race, guys.
Cal, you talked about how fast Billy is. Last year when I was chatting at one point with Maxwell, he said he's the best closer I've ever been paired with.
Yeah, I mean, he and Scotty Axel have been really a big part of the Ford GT development, that massive buzz around the GTLM category in the WeatherTech Championship. We see another pass here. This has just been a duke-out session between these throughout the course of this first hour of the race. But getting back to Billy Johnson, he and Scotty Maxwell, obviously with Multimatic, the driving force behind the new Ford GT. They got a lot of seat time. There was a lot of talk about Billy Johnson maybe getting one of those seats, and I think ultimately the reason he didn't get it was because he didn't have Le Mans experience. There's still a couple of seats up for grab for the Enduros over on the WEC side, so I'm sure he's still got his fingers crossed, but I know everyone within that group has been really impressed with his speed, his feedback, his development skills, and Billy Johnson will make it to the big leagues. Right now he's in this championship and he's going to try and win it for the first time. He's won races before, but he needs to get the big trophy at the end of the season.
Boy, I can't wait to see him in one of those GT Le Mans cars. That would be absolutely fantastic, as is the racing we've been experiencing. ST, this battle, it may be the same leader across the line all the time, but boy, there's 2 or 3 lead changes per lap, and into the pits comes our overall leader and our pole qualifying car from Rum Bum Racing, right to Jamie Howe.
That's right, and we talk about the experience that this team has with this car. 4 years under their belt. They made it to lap 28, so they made it 6 laps longer than that number 33 machine, the new car from CJ Wilson Racing. They know how much fuel they burn in this car, so that's going to be a big advantage for them. So far, a very clean pit stop. We see Matt Plum, getting strapped behind the wheel right now, and they're going to send him out. Clean car.
Absolutely, and they've got the secret weapon on the wall. Those two guys say it as well. His name is Joe Vardy. These guys get these stops nailed. We'll be right back with a lot more to come here as we're into the final 45 minutes of this opener. Welcome back to Daytona. While we were away, the battle at the front has been an absolutely mega race. There you can see him splitting the ST car. Now watch this move here, Cal.
Look at this, Billy Johnson, just total commitment there. He was not lifting, and he was thinking if the Rum Bum car had to lift, I'd have them over this race.
And you thought that was close. They just had a little bit of a tap, but that let right there.
Yeah, Billy's making his presence known. He wants the lead. He's won this race a couple of times before. And Matt Plum just hanging on. They're going in the kink here. Matt Plum gives him a little bit of racing room, and ultimately that's going to open the door for Billy Johnson to take the lead of the motor race.
A lot of respect between these two, but maybe Matt a little too friendly.
I think so. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have given him that much real estate, but Matt's a class act and races cleanly, and maybe he thinks the car will be a little bit stronger in the longer run. I mean, the Ford Shelby last year did deteriorate the tires a little bit harder than some of the competition, so maybe Matt's saying, let him go, burn the tires down, maybe I can come back at him.
And one of our Rennsport 1 machines in pit lane.
About looking up and down pit lane, about every ST team now ready to come in. The first team was the number 17, the RS1 entry. Spencer Pompelli now behind the wheel. Remember, this team debuted at this race here 1 year ago. They ended up winning the race. The car's pretty thirsty, though, taking a lot of fuel. Already got 4 new Continental tires, so Spencer is patiently just waiting behind the wheel of this machine so he can get back out and battle. Right behind him is the team car, number 19. Also behind them, the number 84 from Bimmer World. They're on their way into pit lane as well. They were second in the ST class. I talked to Tyler Cook just before he was ready to put his helmet on. He said the team told him that the car was a little loose. Just trying to keep up out there.
And our race leader from ST in as well, Jamie. The number 56 is in.
Problem with the door, Greg. Look at this. Mosing's having to fix the door, get it back on the pins while Eric Foss is getting behind the wheel. A little bit of a snafu with the refueling as well. The right front tire change was kind of in the way there. So again, it's the first round of the championship. Everyone's a little bit rusty. Jamie's there.
Yeah, and there's also been some other action down here. The number 19, their air hose was left out on pit lane. So when a car left pits, they ran over that. So team pretty unhappy with what's unfolded. Number 84 still getting these 4 new Continental tires. So pits are busy, guys.
Boy, it is a thrash to get all this done and under pressure at that, obviously. And after the drive on a problem, I think we just heard that a problem again for the 56. Window net may not be up after the problem with the door. So, boy, I'll tell you, after that drive by Mosing, it's all going wrong. Jamie, what's up with the 84?
Good news for the 56 is the 84s also had issues. It was with that left front tire. They couldn't get all the wheel nuts on, so they spent some extra time in pit lane also, guys.
And you also saw in the pits the number 44 of Sarah Cattaneo, and a smart move there. Eric Foss able to get that window net up by himself. You just pointed that out, Kel. That's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. Otherwise, that would be another trip down pit lane. That's going to cost you 30 seconds just to come down pit lane at the 60 kilometer an hour, which is about 37 miles an hour pit speed compared to the rest of the racetrack. So plus getting it clicked in. So that's a huge save for this team. Maybe they can still get to victory lane.
So Eric Foss now has an opportunity to do what he does awfully well, and that is just set sail. But I'll tell you, it'd be tough to beat what Jeff Mosing was doing in that opening long stint that he put in.
Yeah, this is a great driving combination. They really complement one another. 2 really nice guys, and they work hard. They're really quick, and the team just does an awesome job. Just turns out fast race cars year after year.
Yeah, another team that's doing pretty well out there. I was just looking at it. The third of the Freedom Autosport, number 27, Danny Bender, who is actually a Mazda salesman from the Chicago area and is a former national champion at the runoffs and also has won some MX5 Cup races. They've been putting in a very solid drive and have worked their way up right into the top 10 here.
Kind of an ironic name for a car salesman. In England, in the UK anyway, a car that's had a heavy accident is known as a bender.
Oh, boy. And we're going to check down into the pit lane with Justin Bell, who's got a very special guest, Travis ROFFLER from Continental Tire.
Travis, I don't know whether you're more excited about your team being in the Super Bowl or being here today, but this is an important race for Continental Tire.
That's back-to-back. Panthers in the Super Bowl next weekend. An incredible racing here at the World Center of Racing. What a day today. The weather is amazing today. You couldn't believe it here yesterday. It was like a monsoon. We could barely qualify cars, and today it's gorgeous racing. Makes from all over the world out here racing at the World Center of Racing here in Daytona. Couldn't be more excited for the Continental Tire brand.
And of course, you finished the season, it was just so strong, great media attention, drivers ramped up, teams all amped up, and obviously sponsors. You come into this one, it's kind of cool to be the first of the big 2 races to take place at Daytona Rising, and of course a great way for you to kick off the series for the brand.
Absolutely. I mean, if you haven't been here or you've never been here before, Daytona Rising thing is amazing. What they've done to this track and how they've transformed it into a real experience for the fan here. It's not coming to watch just motorsports. You actually experience Daytona, all of Daytona, along with motorsports. It is an incredible venue, and Continental Tire couldn't be more proud to be the first event to be exposed to this amazing here at the World Center of Racing in Daytona.
Well, Travis, thanks. And by the way, guys, I won't be on the main broadcast tomorrow on the Tudor race because, on the WeatherTech race, because they're off to Cabo on a corporate retreat with all the Continental Tire dealers tomorrow, so I'll be with him. Okay?
Justin working a deal, as always, and a Mini with a movable aerodynamic device. I'm not sure how that's
a lot of rear grip.
Boy, I'll tell you. And you did see the number 8, Elliott Skier, the race leader in the ST class, make his way down into pit lane. Well, he will be turning over to none other than the reigning GS champion, Robin Liddell, in that. And here's what happened here.
It's a bit of a rough ride there across the inside curb. I think that's what loosened up the catches there. Probably just twisted the car almost, you know what I mean? You get a lot of flex there when you rough ride over the curbs here through the chicane area, and I think it just unclip the clips, and unless he comes into pit lane, it's not going to be fixed.
I think it was a Mazda that loosened it up to start with. That's the car that Mazda got into the back of, and it probably tweaked it. And a busy pit lane, Jamie.
A bit of a traffic jam when you're talking about that number 8 machine. Robin Liddell still sitting in there waiting for fuel, but the pit box in front of them belongs to Hart Racing. The 93 machine was just in the 92, and we've had an accident on pit lane. Also, looks like the fire bottle just went off. The 93 though is going to 92, sorry, is going to get their service right now. So pits are busy, guys. I said it earlier, but with so many teams crammed into these pit boxes, there's just a lot of action all the time, and of course they all want to come to pit lane at the exact same time in green flag conditions where they want to get back out on the racetrack. These guys are really earning their keep.
It's furious, and this is bad news, Cal. That's the car, the number 92 is Steve Ike, worked his way into the top
drive
3.
shaft issue.
Yep. So problems there. And while this is all cycling through, we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll be back to Daytona. Welcome back. Pit lane in Daytona continuing to be busy. This is the Mueller Motorsports America machine ducking down to the pits here in the BMW Performance 200. And that car is now being wheeled by Jeroen Bleekemolen, making his first ever Continental start. And boy, what a gun to have behind the wheel of that car.
Yeah, and I think they're just getting into their pit window to get to the finish here without a splash of gas needed. This is a heartbreak for the 93 team. Valiente behind the wheel was running a strong second, and suddenly we got the news that the crew had too many guys over the wall during their last pit stop, so he's got a lot of work to do. It'll cost him about 30 seconds plus. He'll plummet down the order. He's got a strong car, but unless he sees a caution, probably not going to get to the podium today.
And that really promotes this to, I think, one of the big stories of this race in particular. The number 4 LRT racing entry of the LaRue brothers started dead last after an engine change. They have fought their way up. They were a legitimate 3rd right before that penalty to Valiente. They are now in 2nd from dead last, and they have been absolutely flying.
They have, and I think Honda were pretty bullish about their chances this year because the Civic last year was strong on certain circuits, but both the Cayman and the Mazda got some pretty heavy weight changes added to them in the offseason. So I think everyone who was running a Honda this year thought, particularly at Daytona, we should be strong. Well, we saw it there with 2 cars running in the top 3 until Valiente's pit stop, but they're looking to have a good day here, and the boys here in this car done an awesome job coming from the back of the pack.
Yeah, it's obviously crushing, as you said, to Valiente. Interestingly, Jorge LaRue's driving that number 4 right now. Last couple of laps has been about a second quicker than Robin Liddell in the car that had been leading. Just gives you an idea of the pace that they are able to run. The key, is this guy up front, Eric Foss, number 56, running a second quicker than LaRue. I mean, he's just got things covered right now.
Yeah, and when you saw that pit stop kind of being executed, you think, well, they're going to lose this motor race. And here we see him with a nice lead right now over the 4 car. And so he's doing a great job, and he's done it before. He's looking for another championship.
I think Jamie nailed that one when she said the good news for the 56 after their problems was that hang up on the 84 that had been the car that had been really in that mix as well. And I think it gave them and Eric Foss an opportunity, and Eric's got some skills.
Oh, he's an awesome guy, awesome driver, and been around for a long time. We're looking at the 25 car that took that big hit early in the event. He's seen one of the brake duct hoses has been torn off, so that's not going to help matters. And the Mac Attack, as we call them, the Cumby and Macalaire, the defending ST champs, moving over to the Freedom Autosport camp for this year. Not the start of their campaign they were looking for.
And what really hurt him, other than that obvious contact, was when they were trying to get that toe fixed and they were trying to time it. Jamie said they missed it by a few feet and ended up getting held at pit lane.
Yeah.
And that just killed them.
Yeah, you try and bite as much of that off as you can, and they just got a little bit wrong in terms of beating the pace car out under caution, getting back out, bringing the car back in to effect further repairs, and they cut it a little bit too close and just got stopped. That cost them a lap.
So now it's just earning points, because you got to, at that point, you're looking big picture, long season ahead, get what you can.
You do, but in the ST class, you have a bad day, you're not going to grab many points because the field is so deep. But meanwhile, up front, Billy Johnson has been doing a superb job. We heard some good radio communication about the strategy and just identifying what the strengths and weaknesses are of his car against the Porsche, when they should make that final stop, how long that stint will be on the tires. Justin.
Yeah, the CJ Wilson 33 Porsche came into the pits. It's purely fuel. It's a timed stop. You can see up on the pit box, he is timing this stop to perfection. Obviously, it's falling right in that window you're talking about, Calvin. I must say that the design of this car, the paint scheme on this car is absolutely beautiful. So it's lights are coming on, can see him turning on the ignition. He'll be ready to pull out any second. Jamie?
The number 8 machine from Rebel Rock, currently running 3rd in the ST class right now. And Elliot, I was just talking to Jim Jones, and he was telling me that this is a full season deal for you and Robin Liddell. What are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, just learning from Robin all season. Yeah, my endurance racing experience isn't quite what his is, obviously. So even this weekend, I've learned so much from him. And yeah, if I want to go into endurance racing, this is the guy I need to learn from in the series I need to be in. So the Continental Tire Series has been a really good fit. The Rebel Rock guys are doing a great job. The Porsche's looking good.
What would you say the biggest lesson you've learned this weekend has been?
There's a lot of, it's probably the compromise between him and myself in terms of the car. Coming from GT3 Cup, where it's just one person in the car, you can be pretty specific. But, you know, we found a good balance between our two styles, and we were both happy with the Dirtfish Cayman at the end.
It's currently sitting in the run for a podium position. You drove the car early on in the race. What is Robin dealing with at this late stage?
Yeah, you know, the car is really balanced. I think that's the best part of the Cayman right now, is it's really good on a long run. So it was good all stint. The Continental tires were right on the car every corner. And yeah, it's just, you know, bring it home and see if we can bring home a podium for the team.
Great to see you out here. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. And interestingly here, you were talking about that strategy for the number 15 and Billy Johnson, and they were talking about, should we just pit whenever the rum bum car pits, because it looks like we're quicker when we're on the same fresh tires. Matt Plum has just brought it in, and we are thinking now that we will see the number 15 coming in as well. There is a look at Matt Plum.
You have to respond. You can't roll the dice, because if there is a yellow, pit lane can close, and suddenly you're going to lose a lot of track position. So as soon as the leaders start to come and they're within their pit window now, you have to follow suit. I mean, what they were looking at is, should we come now? But if Matt stayed out, he'd have a shorter stint on his final set of tires. And if you get a caution and there's a reset, suddenly you may be behind the 8 ball a little bit. So it's great that they're talking it through. Billy Johnson, one of those guys, he can talk about the strategy. He wants to know what's going on, what is the pace, what does everyone look like, and he's computing that as well as the engineering stuff from Multimatic up on the pit box.
And confirmed that it was 4 tires fuel for the 13, so they didn't try anything, or excuse me, for the 15, they're anticipating 4 tires and fuel there as well. And I think we're going to see him make the move, as you said, Cal. Yeah, here he comes.
I mean, it looked like Matt Plum had got a little bit closer there in those last couple of laps. Billy's just got to get a good, clean run here down through pit lane. You got to get it woed down to 60 kilometers an hour. And this seems like an eternity as you're crawling down pit lane when you've been blasting around this speedway. And Multimatic, Justin, just have to get this job done right.
Yeah, they do. And Scott Maxwell has been talking him all the way down that last lap into pit lane. Very engaged in his co-drivers' handling of this very critical pit stop. He's called it 4 new Continental tires. Car's looking absolutely clean right at the moment. But of course, a little crease on the rear left fender, but that's nothing. That's a little bit of kissing earlier in the race. You know, the car is so strong. Billy is able to really crack off a series of laps. But right now, at this stage of the race, Cal, they've got to be absolutely perfect in execution, in traffic. And that was a good moment to come in. So at the moment, it's looking pretty routine. And maybe I'll grab a shout with Scott after this pit stop's over.
This wheel change looks very leisurely. They probably understand, don't panic here, don't try and do anything too quick. You're going to be waiting on fuel typically.
Go, go, go!
And that was tight. I couldn't see when the refueler was disconnecting. I'm not sure if there was a delay, but it wasn't a big rush with that tire change.
Front bump is coming past start finish right now. You're going to be right with them. Look for him on your right.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they may have lost some time here on pit lane.
That looked to me like the refueler was done.
Yeah, so the front wheel changer, I don't want to point any fingers, but he certainly seemed to be on a leisurely pace there.
Yeah. JB?
Hey, Scott, so listen, you're really engaged there in what was happening. We're just speculating. The fuel seemed a little bit long coming out. Was there a problem as it was removed from the car?
Fuel's, I mean, it's a large tank. I mean, we decided to go with 4 tires. That was the chance we're taking. If we get a yellow at the end, we'll be in good shape with 4 tires. But, I mean, Joe Vardy knows what he's doing. Yeah. But I got the fastest co-driver in the series, so it's going to be a good finish.
Okay, get back to your job. Yeah, he said it. He does have one of the fastest guys out there.
Well, interesting, regardless of how that played out, but Matt Plum around Billy Johnson now, but leading it right now, Pierre Kleinhubing for Compass 360. The game is afoot here at Daytona International Speedway, the opening round of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. And after a little bit of a slow pit stop for the Multimatic team, Billy Johnson has been absolutely flying. He has taken some significant chunks, over a second the last couple of laps out of leader Matt Plum, and he is coming after him, Cal.
He really is, and he's got his head down and he's charging hard. He's been trimming about 7-8 tenths a lap out of Matt Plum's lead. He had a bit of a moment on this last lap dealing with some traffic coming around the high banks here off of NASCAR 2 down the back straightaway, which he dealt with, but I think that may have cost him 3 or 4 tenths there to really get out of that power on the fastest part of the racetrack. But you can see him now, and now he's got the character chase right in front of him, and Matt Plum will be getting that information. He can see him in his rear view mirror. Watch this though, Greg, as they came onto the high banks here. We've got this ST car. The ST car looked like it was going to go up high. Billy made a decision to duck down low. He had to get out of the gas. That cost him a little bit of time.
Even so, he was a half a lap faster than Matt Plum with that big lift and adjustment. Gives you an idea of the pace that he is at right now. He's trimmed that margin officially to 2 seconds right now. Pierre Kleinhubing had been leading for Compass 360, and the Children's Tumor Foundation car did their stop, lost a big chunk of time, and are about 20 seconds adrift of this battle right now.
Now, right now, unless anyone has problems, there's a battle between these two, and we thought it coming into this championship year, they'd be the main protagonist for the championship title, and we're seeing it early in the season, of course. First couple rounds of racing, and Billy Johnson has got his head down. He won this race back in 2011, 2012. Matt Plum won it in 13.
Just enjoying this onboard here. Coming up on the back of Al Carter.
Hard on the brakes. He wants to time this run through here, through the bus stop. He can maybe get a little bit of a draft off of Al around the banking here. Pop out, not lose any time. 33 minutes on the board. He's got a couple of seconds to cut into that lead that Matt Plum has right now.
It's just amazing how long they are flat throttle on this track.
Ducks it down low, tries to shortcut the racetrack a little bit, then flares it up high as you set up for the brake zone down into turn 1. Little transition here. Really easy to lock up a brake here down into this tight corner. You just got to be patient, squeezing back on the power. Love this section of the racetrack. When the tires are good, you can go flat through there. Late braking right at the end of the hash marks there from the pit out. And roll some speed here through the mid-corner part of the apex. He's catching him in a hurry, but as we saw before, Matt Plum was defending that lead pretty well until he played pretty nicely with him through this very section of the racetrack. This is where Billy Johnson took the lead earlier in this race.
Yeah, and on that lap alone, Billy took 6 tenths that last lap off of Matt Plum, and Jamie is with Brother Hugh.
And Brother Hugh is also wearing Matt Plum's fire suit, so it's very confusing down here. But Hugh, when you watch this race and you watch your brother out there battling with the Mustang, where do you see the advantages for this 997?
As of right now, there's not that many advantages. I think, you know, putting the car into 6th gear at that very top speed is our advantage. But, you know, Ford, they've done a great job. Multimatic's done a great job putting that car together. And, you know, we're going to try to fend them off. We've got a half an hour left, and Matt, of course, will give it everything he's got.
Talk a lot about the crew guys and how big of a part they play in all of this. They come down to pretty much being everything.
Yeah.
Having the same group of guys here that you had last year, what does that do for this team?
So it's a huge part of it. As you could tell, you know, we were at a 5-second disadvantage, and before we came in, and then after we came out, we were at a 5-second advantage. So that's all in what these guys do, and Rum Bum guys, you know, nail it every time, and they do a great job. So.
And it's getting to be closer side by side now, guys.
This is awesome. This is awesome stuff. Billy Johnson going for the lead. They're still side by side here. Matt Plum trying to hang on. Billy Johnson takes the lead.
Plum going to try it around the outside. That's not the way to do it here, and I don't think he's going to be able to do the over-under.
Good job.
Saw Billy Johnson almost use a bit of a NASCAR move with that side draft. He coaches NASCAR stars on road course racing. Maybe he pulled a few tips from those guys on how to get around these high banks here at Daytona. Nice job there. Down into turn one and made it stick around the outside.
Now, a little bit of traffic in front. This is maybe the opportunity that Matt has if Billy somehow gets hung up a little bit, but that lap car, nice job. It's one of the Rebel Rock cars just scooching right out of the way and let Billy go through clean, and that was exactly what Matt did not need to have happen.
And the way Billy Johnson has executed these two passes, that's really a key indicator in just how much of an edge he and his car has in performance over the Rum Bum car today, because normally you don't pass Matt Plum that easily 2 times in this race.
Does he have some sort of a problem? Al Carter just pulled out and drove by Matt like he was parked. We'll follow up on that when we come back to Daytona. But Billy Johnson and Multimatic and the Ford back out front. Welcome back, everybody, for the BMW Performance 200, the season opener for the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, and the whole thing just got turned on its ear right as we went to break. We had a caution. It is on, and Justin, you're with one of the teams that's in it.
Oh, yeah. Juan Carlos Leroux started at the back of the field for an engine change. I'm sure there was a lot of emotion at being so bad at the beginning of the race, but you're now right up at the front. What a fantastic race so far.
Yeah, so far it's been a good race for us. My first team, the Continental Tires, perform really, really good. I'm impressed on how well they perform. So that's what is keeping the Honda fast and running on the front.
And of course, the yellow flag was perfect for your strategy.
Of course, because we're running low on gas, so we're trying to save fuel. So this yellow flag is perfect for us. Perfect times.
Okay, get back up there and watch to the finish. Well done, guys.
Oh, he is excited, and he should be. I mean, basically now, Eric Foss is leading 7th overall in ST. Then it's LaRue in the number 4. Then Liddell in the 8. Valiante, who's been flying in the 93. Owen Trinkler in the 44 Honda. And the fastest of them all, Spencer Pumpelly in the 17 RS1 car. Cal, they are compressed. At the front end, Billy Johnson is in the driver's seat. The problem for Matt Plum is we are understanding they've got an engine problem. We heard it via the radio. They've got an issue with that car.
22 minutes, just do the best you can. There's only four cars on the lead lap, okay? Only 4 cars.
I just have to get out of the way of everybody because it won't go over, 30 miles an hour.
He had him recycle electronics. That didn't fix the problem. So Giovanni looking at the big pictures. Not a lot of cars on the lead lap. Just try and stay out of trouble. Try and get it home somehow, some way. Score a bundle of points here today, and we'll live to fight another day. But certainly taking the sting out of this battle at the front.
And we are green, and there's Plum, just gets down below the apron, lets him go. That black and orange Mustang in the hands of Pierre Kleinhubing from Compass 360. That is 3rd. Right behind him now is Mark Miller, and Miller will jump up now into 3rd in that number 33 CJ Wilson car, as Al Carter, I think, was trying to help and get out of the way, and I think maybe got offline. And that's right in front of LaRue, I think.
Wow.
Oh, I hope they all made it through. It is a scrum down there.
That is amazing. That part of the racetrack is fun by yourself. When you're 3 wide, it gets ugly in a hurry as everyone's jostling for position here. And certainly this battle at the ST pack is intense, as it's game on with this reset with a caution. Anyone can win this in the top 7 or 8 cars.
You hop on board with the number 25, damaged early. Now Chad McCumbee back 19th in class right now. Just giving you a feel for the intensity of what's unfolding out there this deep in the pack, as he sits essentially in the 27th spot overall.
Couple of laps down, so he's not going to be a factor here today, so he's just got to try and bring it home. Up front, Eric Foss doing a great job here. He stretched the lead a little bit over LaRue and company.
He just has to make good his escape right now, doesn't he? And look at this
This is tight. This is really tight. Good driving there to get through that.
Yeah, the number 18 Sport car in
Corey
that
Lewis
mix.
taking advantage, tucks it to the inside, I think. It's the 36 car on the inside, gained a couple of spots from just inside the top 10.
And 3 abreast still up in the banking. I think that was the 31 Strategic Wealth car they got up there. We're back on board now with the 25. Boy, and this is pack racing at its finest.
We're on the NASCAR high banks, and this is what it looks like.
Here's a look from the 26. And 3 of the cars running here. The 26.
Andrew Carbonell.
Now. Boy, this is fierce. Awfully close stuff. Working through the bus stop. And we get a report the 81 is going to be having a stop and hold for working in a closed pit lane as we watch Foss as he stretches the margin out. The question is, all right, there is LaRue. He definitely lost time when Carter came back in front. That was a gift for Eric Foss.
Yeah, it really was. He needed that because he'd established a nice lead, and suddenly that was erased by the caution. So he's kind of got the jump on this restart that he's looking for. But behind those guys, I think that final spot on the podium is going to be fiercely contested. Rob Liddell still holds down that spot from Michael Valiente as we're looking at timing and scoring. Trinkler 5th, Lafuge 6th, Pumpelly and company very fast. Seth Thomas had a fast race car, but he's dropped a couple of spots there in that little schmozzle coming up on the high banks, turn 6 half a lap ago.
And Greg Liafouche very fast in the 83. That's the next level European Porsche Cayman, is right in that group now as well, as we hop back on board with the number 25 Freedom car. And we're getting a report that number 13, that is Plum, has said enough and is bringing that car down into pit lane.
Yeah, that's too bad. I think we're looking at on camera right now the 3rd and 4th car in line. I think that's Liddell and Valiente.
Yep.
So that blue Cayman there to the inside, that's Rob Liddell trying to deal with some traffic. Valiente's going to have a bit of a run here, I think.
And he also has his teammate who's down a lap as well. And that,
here he comes.
Yep, here he goes up to the outside.
Well, Liddell's got pinched. He's got pinched there in traffic. Look to the high side. I think as Valiente is in the 93 car, just clears that Mini. And it looks like he may have grabbed the 3rd position. Can Liddell do anything on the brakes? Yes, he does. Liddell takes it in deep. Oh, contact between the 2 sister cars. Unbelievable. Remember, Valiente had a huge crash here a couple of years ago with Ryan Eversley. Hit the fence hard.
Both of them kept it off the barriers, but they are done with an opportunity for what could have been an easy podium finish, perhaps, for Michael Valiente. Here it is again. Was getting together, not enough real estate for 2 Hondas, and they both are off. We're going to step away for a moment, but it is heating up. Stay with us. You ride with the closer here at Daytona International Speedway. Billy Johnson leading in the number 15 Ford Mustang Shelby 350 GTRC, and it is a great show he is putting on here. After that caution, he has been able to eke away just a little bit in the last margin. There it is between he and Pierre Kleinhubing. There's 3rd, Mark Miller in the C.J. Wilson Racing Cayman Club Sport. Those are the margins, basically about a second between each of those 3 overall lead cars.
It's really time. We teased in the open what may happen here in this championship opener. And certainly the 13 car was a potential winner here today. They've struck problems. The 15 car, they come in this championship year as one of the favorites. They're leading right now. The 76 car making the move to a Multimatic Ford Shelby, running really well in the 2nd spot. Here's another look at that incident. See Valiente and his teammate going side by side there. Just not enough room, unfortunately. They both get turned.
I think Ike maybe got a little surprised with where Sarah Cataneo was. No, he was already by her. Bit inexplicable, I would think. Especially when you're down a lap.
Conversation in the team transporter tonight. Kevin Bone behind the wheel now. Had that contact there. This is a really hard-working team, and it's such a shame to see those guys get into each other like that. 13 car has been down pit lane. Not sure if they've got any fix on the car. He just had to blow the chicane there. Maybe been traffic or some other issue. Maybe reset the car again.
Yeah, it still definitely is not full song. And as you'd said, they had been working, trying to cycle ignition. They stopped in the pits. It's just not there for him right now.
Might be up to a little bit more speed.
No,
It's an
better
ST
now,
car that he's going around, so that's not a true indicator, but certainly showing some more speed than he did earlier. So this is a big day for Billy Johnson. He's leading this race right now. If he can pull it off with just under 14 minutes to go, they'll be looking at the Run Bum team all season long. So if they can gain a bundle of points here in the season and open, that's a great start to your campaign.
Well, and interesting, but 5 of the last 6 years, it's been either Billy Johnson or Matt Plum involved in the winning car. It was 2014. It's the only one that they weren't. So this is a huge moment for Billy. One, to tie Matt Plum for 3 wins, but also those points. Jamie?
That 92 machine did make its way to pit lane after the contact with the crew. Diagnosed the issue. They're sending it back behind the wall. Their day is done.
Yeah, they had that, was a half shaft change that they had earlier on, so he was way down anyway. 35 points to win, 32 for second, 30 for third. And it obviously you need in scrap for every possible point you can get here. Ooh, big lock up there for the 74 of Ron Day. It's the Compass 360 Audi S3. Getting reports that it is a high pressure pump for the Rum Bum Porsche. Ooh, that looks like another turbo issue actually maybe for the 74, doesn't it?
That does. It's the sister car, right? Earlier in the race had a similar problem possibly. This car, I spoke to Carl Thompson this morning. He said, you know, this is going to be a struggle for us. It's the silhouette of the car, the greenhouse as they call it, is not good for these high banks here. He said we should be really strong at Sebring. We just got to try and survive here at Daytona this weekend with the Audis.
Yeah, and there goes the 25. Nice move there, and again a big plume, so they're in trouble, no question. They'll be ducking down, and of course this is only the second year that this car has been run full tilt. Boy, that's a smoke screen there.
Yeah, that is big.
Yeah, nice job.
Had that brilliant victory at the final round of the championship last year at Road Atlanta for Paul Halton and Kyle Gimple.
Certainly it was raining, that played into it, but in the dry sessions that car had been showing some of the best pace it had had all season though.
Yeah, they did a lot of hard work last year and made a lot of ground with that platform.
When you develop a stock car like that, and you know you've got to deal with all the electronics that come with the stock machines, I mean it was a season-long struggle, but they've started to show the pace. Up front right now, Billy Johnson continues to lead, just a second clear of Pierre Kleinubing, who stretched it out to a couple more seconds back to Mark Miller. And Eric Foss continues to lead in the Porsche in ST. Things have stabilized a little bit in Grand Sport and overall, but the battle in ST, particularly for second, is fierce right now. And we just, just before we came back, Spencer Pumpelly in the number 17 Rennsport car, who had more wins than any other car in ST last year, has now moved into that third spot. And Robin Liddell now has slipped to fourth. Trinkler sits there as well. Cal?
Yeah, and I think he's actually up to second. Actually, he's by LaRue as well. So Spencer Pumpelly, 4 wins on the championship year last year, including the win here in the opener. So we saw the pace. He was buried a bit in the pack. That reset with the caution obviously helped him. And now he's fought his way up to the second spot. Will he have anything for Eric Foss? Eric Foss had about a 6.5 second lead over Pumpelly when they crossed the stripe the last time. We'll look at timing and scoring this time to see if that gap has closed at all. But certainly it is game on again for the possible win here today.
Absolutely, and this is that scrap now for what would be the third spot. And you've got the blue Rebel Rock car in the hands of Liddell with LaRue right behind him. And you wonder if it's been close quarters racing in this battle in the end. Take a look at the left front corner of Liddell's car. A little bit of a wrinkle in there as well.
See the gap on the top of the screen there, 6.6 seconds, so that's kind of stable on that last lap. So Foss seems to have the pace of Pumpelly. They both ran low sixes, a 2:06.3 for Foss, a 2:06.2 for Pumpelly. That's not enough of a margin to really eat into that lead. So he's going to need some help with traffic and see if he can try and get a win. But I think Spencer this year realizes they learned so much. They had a few mechanical issues this year. They were like feast or famine. They either won or had mechanical issues last year. If they can have a good clean season, he's going to be a definite threat for the championship, and the boy just knows how to win races.
That he does. Take a look at our graphic here, the Continental Tire race recap. Class leader is Billy Johnson, street tuner Eric Foss right now. 3 cautions for 6 laps total. Lead changes 8. That's at the line. There have been a lot more than that as this race has unfolded. And remarkably, only 3 cars actually out of this race right now. As we're once again on board with Billy, and here's a problem for the 37 mini JCW machine, and it gets going again.
Ethan Lowe behind the wheel now. Saw a problem earlier in the race where they got a little tap in the chicane. Stephen Mackle there. So again, early days, you want to start off strong, but sometimes you just got to dust yourself off, try and bring it home, and regroup for the next round of the championship at Sebring, which is going to be a thriller.
And speaking of thrillers, this is for 3rd right now. LaRue down underneath.
Beautiful.
And gets around on Robin Liddell. But boy, I mean, it was aggressive. He was on top of those curbs, Cal.
He was, and I think what this really just showcases is how deep the talent is in this championship. We're looking at Robin Liddell in that blue Porsche. He won the GS Championship last year with Andrew Davis for Stevenson Motorsport with 4 wins on the year. And he's a world-class driver, and he's now in the ST class, but you can just see there's talent in abundance throughout the class in the various cars, and Ron will be enjoying himself. This is a good tune-up. Knock the rust off after the winter break, getting ready for the 24-hour race as well.
Absolutely, where Stevenson has stepped up to GTD and driving the Audi. And I think Robin is having a lot of fun right now in this one as well. And we give a shout out to Jim Johnson and this Rebel Rock team. He's added a couple of people, some co-principals, Tom Fitzgerald and Frank Depew. He said, we need to get to this next level of getting everything done right. Boy, they seem to have done just that.
Yeah, it's been wonderful to watch that team essentially evolve over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and wonderful marketing. You know, Jim Johnson really understands branding, and you know, such success in the music industry as well. I mean, he's a very talented man, and a lot of passion for motorsport. Some of these guys you see there, sort of like one-year wonder. He's in it for the long haul, building a great team, getting the right personnel, attracting world-class drivers like Robin Liddell. They're going to do big things in the future.
That's the margin right there, 1st to 2nd overall, folks. Billy Johnson, the white Ford. That's the Mustang Shelby, but you've got Pierre Kleinubing in the same car, and Pierre has been putting laps down a bit quicker. Billy just stretches it out by about 0.6 of a second on that lap, and traffic's coming into play. We'll be back for it. 6 minutes to go in the BMW Performance 200 opening round of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge at Daytona International Speedway. And Pierre Kleinubing certainly looks to be trimming into that margin that Billy Johnson had. It had ballooned up to over 2 seconds, got down to just under a second. Last lap, as I said, Billy in some traffic was able to eke out another 0.6. The margin back up last time to 1.9 seconds. But Pierre Kleinubing knows how to win. He's got 5 championships and World Challenge over the years. Whenever he's run in this series, he's always been a front runner, and he knows this year he's got a weapon in this Shelby 350 GT.
He really does, and it's a wonderful team, and Carl Thompson is very bullish about their chances this year. He says we're basically one team but under 2 different awnings. They're really working together on setups. There's a lot of transfer of information. He said Larry Holt from Multimatic and that group want to win. I want to win. But he feels that his driver lineup can stand up against Maxwell and Billy Johnson. He has a lot of faith in young Paul Halton, who did a great job at the start of this race. And everyone knows the talent of Pierre Kleinubing, our ST champion back in 2012. So he knows how to get the job done. He'll be learning the ropes with this new car. He doesn't have the mileage, certainly, that Billy Johnson does. But to be this close in the opening round is making a statement.
He just took 0.3 back off and basically cleared track here. So he is definitely coming after it. You know, a couple of years ago, we were talking about Paul Holden as a diamond in the rough. You can see the talent.
Yeah.
Now that diamond's getting some polish on it. He really is starting to do the job beautifully.
Some of that comes with age and certainly race miles. So he's got it all going for him right now, and he's got a great tutor here in Pierre Kleinubing. I'll try and spit that out again. Yeah, he just does a great job behind the wheel, but he's a really patient man, and I'm sure he's working with Paul hard on the data and every aspect of his driving to make him even better, and that will infect obviously their ability to go after a championship.
And if you're wondering how about that battle in ST, well, Eric Foss has responded to Pompelli's charge. Eric just turned his fastest lap and the fastest lap of the race for that car at a 2:05.9 and has stabilized that margin just a little bit. So obviously he's getting word from that Murillo Racing pit and saying that Spencer Pompelli, who had more wins in this class than anybody else last year, is mounting another one of his patented charges, and Eric said, I'm up for it.
Yeah, he's just done a great job. I just can't believe they were so close to disaster with that driver door falling off during their driver change, and Jeff Mosing just staying calm, unfortunately getting it back on the pins and getting that driver net back up and avoiding potential disaster and maybe scoring another victory here today.
What a story it would be. I mean, Eric, of course, a former champion in the class, and unfortunately for Jeff, he didn't share that championship because he had to miss a race. Pretty good reason, but he had to miss a race. But boy, they would love to get this one right off the bat here, as you said. This can set the stage for a season, can it?
It really can, and those guys are going to be sharing a car in the 24-hour race this weekend, so this will give them a real confidence boost overnight to get ready for the long day that starts tomorrow. So Bimmer World, they had strong cars here today. Doesn't look like they're going to be a factor for a podium finish, but nevertheless, a good, strong outing for the Bimmer World team.
That's Kyle Tilley. That's his first start in the Continental Series for Kyle, and he's given it some serious running. We hear white flag next time by, and oh, very, very close.
Yeah, that was not pretty.
No. That was right in front of a group of serious players here. You know, another guy who's been running very fast laps and has moved up into 6th in ST. Check that 5th in ST is Corey Lewis in the number 36 Strategic Wealth car. He's having a very strong go here in this last bit.
And he's another young driver that's really getting on everyone's radar. Been winning a lot of races, very successful last year in the Lamborghini series, and he's going to be tough this year. They've got a very strong driver pairing, and everything he jumps in, he seems to do a really good job.
Yeah, he won the North American Pro-Am and the World Final Pro-Am in the Lamborghinis here. Pierre Kleinubing got really butchered in traffic on that last lap and has lost a lot of ground to Billy Johnson, I think. We'll watch for it as we keeping an eye on all of this. There is Billy, and we are anticipating white flag this time by, and I think that margin is going to have ballooned up pretty noticeably as he comes around and completes this lap.
Tell you what, though, the Compass 360 boys would have to be pleased to come out with this car for the very first time, even if they do end up finishing runner-up to the Multimatic team. It's a big day for them, big weekend. They've got a lot of guests here from the Children's Tumor Foundation, and there's a big gala tonight that JB Justin, I think, is going to be involved in. So big weekend, and they'll be celebrating if they can get a podium.
Well, they've actually, what they're calling embedded fans, and it's some of those CTF kids that are kind of embedded into the crews here. It's really a great approach to it. Here we go, looking for that white flag. It flies, and the margin, it was 1.7 seconds, and it's 2.9, so that traffic really hurt Pierre. But now it might be something that holds up Billy here just a little bit. A couple of cars in front of him that are racing for position.
Yeah, well, that extra second certainly makes his ability to be patient here a lot easier, and he's going to slide down the inside and clear both of these cars, and the car's just still dialed in. Look at hug the apex beautifully. So Billy Johnson and the team did a great job. We talked about tire degradation. Daytona is not hard on tires, so that certainly helps. So maybe this year they've done their homework and they're going to be stronger on the longer runs than they were in 2015.
Well, and he certainly was willing to ride for a while, wasn't he, to try and stretch a little bit of that fuel just in case. And they've played it very, very well here, other than a rather lackadaisical pit stop, which they were able to overcome when the 13 had its problems. Anyway, they have been just superb. But, boy, I'll tell you, Kleinubing and this team, they're going to be a force this year.
They are, and we talked about that Porsche Cayman where Mark Miller now sits in the 3rd spot. Got a healthy lead over the rest of the field, so that should be safe here today, and that'll be a great debut for the Cayman GT4, the club sport machine from Porsche. That's really a turnkey. I mean, we looked at the Camaros last year, how they were developed by Pratt and Miller and the Stevenson Group. We looked at this new Ford Shelby GT350 RC and the work that it took. Porsche are now giving everyone a turnkey car to go out and compete against these cars, and I think that's what the championship is all about.
And there is Eric Foss picking up that white flag. 1 lap to go for Eric, and he pretty solid driver, no question about that. And Jeff Mosing drove the mega stint early here and was just been superb. But right now, speaking of closers, Billy Johnson wheeling out of NASCAR 4 onto the front stretch into the tri-oval, and Ford in the Shelby from Multimatic wins here at Daytona. And at the line, Pierre Kleinubing doing a great job as well. Another Ford for the Compass 360 team in their debut of that team. Scott Maxwell at the wall. You heard his shout out to Billy, and he said it earlier too. I got the fastest guy in the paddock. that's bringing this one home, and Billy did just that.
He really did, and he needs to have the ability to move on to the bigger stage on a more permanent basis.
Yes.
We see whenever he jumps in any car, he's quick, but he's certainly a very talented young man, and he deserves a shot in the WeatherTech Championship, or maybe something on the global stage as well. So once again, he showcases his talent, his third win here in the last few years. So Daytona was cruel to Billy Johnson for a long time, but now it's certainly rewarding him.
No question about that. This will be his third win here at Daytona, but here we go. Eric Foss coming around as well. He and Mosing were second here in 2014, and they're going to make that next step up to the top of the podium and take the win here as well, assuming they get through the bus stop one more time and get around that track. Eric, not one prone to make late mistakes. And boy, what a drive. Even with, obviously there was some contact there. We saw that Mini get into the side of Mosing early. Nobody lost their cool. That's probably part of the problem with the door, wasn't it? That wrinkle there. So nice job there, but here we go. Eric Foss from Murillo Racing in the Porsche Cayman coming around and going to win at Daytona. And what a drive. Again, both drivers, you can't say enough about that drive that Mosing put on.
Oh, it's superb. It was great fun to watch. I mean, everyone duking it out in the early stage. A bit more clear sailing. And here we look at this, LaRue and Liddell coming down to the stripe. LaRue's got a charge on him. Does he get it?
Oh, it looked like he may have the nose ahead at the line.
Wow.
What does it show? According to scoring, it's LaRue on the podium, Liddell in fourth, with Pompelli finishing second for RS1. Let's do it again and see how close it was. Right there. Look at that. By what, 2 feet? What a remarkable finish for the podium in ST. And Billy Johnson doing a bit of celebrating on his cool down lap. Hey, those tires are done. Victory Circle at Daytona. That is a place everybody loves to be. Take a look here. The next time this series will be with you on FS1, Fox Sports 1, Sebring International Raceway, the 27th of March. That's a Friday. Make sure and tune in as Billy Johnson climbs out down in Victory Circle. Absolutely remarkable run that he put together. Here's the results in the Grand Sport category. Johnson and Maxwell in the Ford Shelby Mustang for Multimatic over the similar car for Compass 360 of Klein, Newby and Holting, and then Miller Burkett in the CJ Wilson Racing Porsche. Nice job for them as well. As you take a look at the rest of the top 8, that is your Grand Sport category. Let's get down to Justin Bell with our winner.
Yeah, congratulations, obviously, Scott Maxwell here with Billy Johnson. Billy, obviously, you saw when the run barn car pulled off to the track, but I think you had it all the way. That was a strong race.
Thanks. Matt's a great driver. It's always great racing against him, but this car weighs close to 3,500 pounds, well over that. It's more than a NASCAR, and these Continental tires are awesome to be able to hold up to that kind of abuse, but that run bum Porsche had a really lot of top end and didn't have anything for him on the straightaway, and it's really unfortunate that he wasn't part of he had some issues and wasn't part of the finish there, because I know it would have been a really good battle. But Scott did a fantastic job. The whole crew worked really hard to get this GT350 RC into victory lane here at Daytona.
Perfect. And Jamie, it's celebrations all around, right?
That's right. You'd see this number 56 machine made it to victory lane, but the door is on the ground as Eric Foss climbed out. Jeff Mosing, you had a great stint, but Eric, I want to talk about that pit stop. When you couldn't get the window net up, the door wouldn't shut. What shot did you think you guys had at a victory today?
Well, you know, as we made the stop and the door came off, at that point I didn't know what to do really, and so we probably looked like the Keystone Cops out there, but you know, when we got out of pit lane and I saw that we were actually passing the 84 car that we'd been racing for position, I was like, wow, we still had a flawless pit stop even with the door readjustment. But obviously it was hanging on for the rest of the race. But you know, this Murillo Racing team, we did a lot of testing this off season. Jeff's really just keeps stepping up his game, and you know, those Continental tires were amazing. We really enjoyed driving out there, and I was hoping for a little more battle. I think Spence was trying to get up there so we could have a rematch of last year, but just luck was our way today.
A lot to be happy about today, guys. Congratulations. Justin?
Oh, Pierre Clanuving, you get out of the car. Fantastic result. It's a beautiful paint job for an amazing cause, but what a great race. Travis is down here with CTF children. What a great race, Pierre.
Yeah, well, you know, ecstatic. It's a good way to start the season. We have to learn. I have to learn from Billy. He seems to be the master putting power down. My Continentals are awesome the whole time, but I just couldn't match his pace. Happy for the podium. Good start for the season. We'll build on it, and it's a long way. So as long as I keep finishing second every single race, we'll be there.
Perfect, guys.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you, Billy Johnson does have a way of kind of messing with your head a little bit, because you throw in some laps, you think you're getting there, and then suddenly he just finds that half second. It's pretty impressive stuff with what he's able to do. Speaking of impressive stuff, Jamie, Spencer Pumpelly putting in a late race charge again.
Yeah, you sure did, Spencer. Great race, late race charge. You won this race last year, but finished second today. What does this tell you about the way this championship's going to go?
You know, it was tight as could be last year, and if you remember last year, we had so many really good tight races. Today wasn't the case. Eric was hooked up. You know, he got an advantage of being in the front of the restart, but by the time I came through, I thought maybe I'd have a shot at him. He just pulled away. I mean, we had nothing for him, so my hat's off to Eric. But, man, thanks to Continental Tires. A day like today, you know, where it's hot, they were great. I had great crew guys, great car. This is a brand-new car, chassis up, so big thanks to Rennsport One. And where's Nick Galante? He did phenomenal in his first SC start.
Yeah, you guys, great job. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, they really did. Pretty impressive stuff. And the next thing we need to just mention here, ST third, the margin, 17 one-thousandths of a second. It gives you just an idea of how close it was there. So, Cal, I think we have seen a great start to what has the promise of being a phenomenal season.
Oh, we certainly did. Certainly Compass 360 on debut with that Ford Shelby did a great job to sit there on the podium. We saw the Cayman. We wondered how it would do. Looked strong in testing. Front row qualifying. Finishes on the podium. So GS class looks awesome. Again, an ST, well, that was going to go down to anyone. I mean, Mosing and Foster's did a brilliant job. They dodged a bullet with the pit stop and the door issue and just took it home. So you got a lot of great drivers in both classes. It's going to be a fun ride this season.
Well, and the thing that was impressive with that stop, with that door, was Jeff never got panicky, and then the crew guy finished the tire, went over, helped him, got it on, and out they went, and it paid off with a great win. It's been a treat to be able to bring you this one. Make sure you tune in all season long for the rest of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. For Jamie Howe, Justin Bell, my partner Calvin Fish, I'm Greg Kramer. Thanks so much for tuning in. We look forward to talking to you again from Sebring, and if you can get there in person, do that too. We'll see you then.